This video is probably going to be kind of all over the place, but I just kind of wanted to break down, make a video about the most recent song I uploaded, My Promise, the one I wrote for my wife. Thought I would kind of break down sort of my writing process, what it looks like from start to finish. Yeah, I thought that would be a fun thing to do. So we'll start with where I got sort of the genesis of the song was actually from this video by Rob Scallon. It's called One Shape 1003 Chords. And the shape he uses is sort of one that I use all the time. It's this shape. Sometimes I'll do it this way. But like if you listen to most of my music, like that I think it's a major seventh, whatever that is. I don't know music theory very well. Whatever that is. Oops. Those shapes are kind of all over the place in my music. I just like the way they sound. I think they're interesting. I think there's a lot of ways you can use them. They kind of spice up your music a little bit. And so, I'm a big fan of Rob Scallon and Andrew Huang. Shout out to those guys for all the stuff they're doing. But anyway, so I was watching this video. This came out 2 years ago. And in this video, he's kind of breaking down this one chord shape that he gets a whole lot of different ideas from and a bunch of different ways you can use it. And so I saw this part of the video where he takes it and adds an extra note up here on this shape that I'm very familiar with. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if I can use that in some way. And well, I'll play the video. No, I won't play the video because it might take too long. But anyway, so he uses it in there's two different chord shapes that he used in this video. There's this one and then there's this one. And I started doodling around with that, kind of trying to see where I could go with it. And so with the song that I wrote for my wife, My Promise, the very first thing I did with that chord shape was play the opening. Oops, that's not it. Oh, do I know how to play guitar? Probably not. Oh, that's right, I played this one first. Anyway, you get the idea. And then, so I played that, and the little intro that comes in next, that didn't come till a little bit later, but the very beginning, I forget when I started writing this song, but anyway, the only thing I had for this song was and I was like, that sounds cool. I should totally do something with that. And when this song first started, it actually wasn't a song for my wife. It was just kind of this weird experimental rock-ish kind of song I had going on. But I liked it, and I thought I had something there. So there's actually 5 versions of this song. I don't know if anybody's like me, but usually by the time I have a finished song from start to finish, lyrics and recorded and all that, that's usually like the 5th, 6th, 7th version of that song. I'm sure there's many other people who have a similar process. I'm curious to know if anybody starts a song and finishes it, and that's just the version. I've had that only a handful of times, but I've been writing music since I was 14, and probably seriously writing music since I was 18. I'm 32 now, and that's pretty much how it goes. I'll find something cool, a cool chord progression, and I'll try to write around it. And if I don't like it, I'll shelve it and come back to it, but that's another video. Anyway, this was actually the first version of this song. I called it Scallon Chords because I got the chords from Rob Scallon's video. And you're going to have to bear with me for tabit because I don't actually demo out stuff or record anything until I have something I think is worth recording. That's part of the reason I like tabit is because I can plot everything out with drums and everything and kind of hear if it's going to be worth recording before I actually spend time recording it. It's just it's a way for me to save time and energy on things that I think are worthwhile. So this was the first version of the song, and up until the chorus is the intro and the verse and the chorus. The intro and the verse were all. That's the only thing that hasn't changed since the very first version of this song. So you got, the chords. I'm gonna just skip ahead a little bit because there's 5 versions to go through, and I'm gonna show all 5 versions just so you can kind of see where my head was at and why I do what I do. And the reason that I always save my old versions and reference them is because sometimes I'll go back to an old version and maybe I hate 80% of it, but maybe there's a bridge I like, maybe there's a transition I like, maybe there's a drum fill that I like. So I always like going back and kind of seeing like, well, why did I save this? it was obviously worth my time at some point, so maybe there's a little nugget in there, and maybe I can use it. And, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but... So if you've listened to that song, this is right. This part I'm about to show you is the verse, and then this is the original chorus. So here's the original verse, still intact, and then here's my original chorus. So that was the original chorus, and then it comes into this little breakdown part here. Then it goes back into this part. It goes into that. I forget what it does next. What does it do next? It does that for a long time, way longer than it should have. Oh, and then it goes back into an alternative verse. So in the original version of the song, there was 2 verses. Again, so the reason that there is a break. So after the bridge, right before the last chorus, this part comes back in. And that part only came back in on the final version because I kept referencing back to my old versions of this song, and I was like, it would be really cool if that part came in, a shortened version of it, or I really liked this little intro part, and I wanted it to play through at least one more time before the song ended. So anyway, there was a different chorus, a different transition, a second verse. The actual song now only has one. Whatever the heck this is, back into that weird chorus, and then I had nothing left. And I wasn't really feeling it, so I shelved the song for a while. And then we came to version 2. I don't know if there's a lot of huge changes in version 2. Chorus is still the same. There's that break. And then the second verse. Okay, and then I was trying to make a bridge part. That's right, so... in the second version of the song, I was trying to figure out a bridge. Then it goes back into the chorus. Yeah, so the second version didn't really add a whole lot. Third version, like I said, beginning, intro, verse, none of that changed. Let's see here. There's that original chorus. Okay, the third version, it was one of the bigger changes. So I had this original chorus, and then it was going to go back into the intro. And then for whatever reason, I think I started just kind of singing along to this part right here. I was going to kind of make it like a bridge / second verse / kind of thing. But this is how I came up with the original chorus, or the actual chorus that's in the song now. There you go. And then once I started singing with that, and once I started playing back and listening to it, I was like, this feels like a chorus, so I think this should kind of be the centerpiece of the song. And I think version 3 is when I decided that it was going to be a song for my wife, because I've been trying to write a song for her for a long time, and I just kind of I'm not very good at writing acoustic music, and I was like, well, if I'm going to write a song, maybe I should just do it in my style, and it would be more authentic that way. So, again, referencing, this is the third version, and this part only survived. So if you listen to the actual song, this part is here intact in the original song right before the chorus comes in, and that's because I kept referencing back to the third version and saying, well, I really like how there's a break right before the chorus. The chorus still sounds kind of big. And then I tried a whole bunch of different nonsense. There's the original chorus again. I still think it's cool. I could probably use this, but I might not. That's like a tappy part. And that was version 3. Then we come over version 4. I think this is probably the one that had the most changes. Yeah, so in version 4 is when I finally decided this isn't going to be some weird alternative rock with synthesizers or whatever, even though the song did end up having synths in it. This is the version where I decided, okay, this is the song that I'm going to use to write for my wife. Yeah, so version 4 had the biggest changes. So it's still, again, the intro was intact. The only thing that hasn't changed, the verse, the chorus. So in version 4, I had up until the chorus. And then version 4 is where I started experimenting with bridge parts. So this was the original. Yeah, at this point, I was just throwing mud at the wall and seeing what stuck. And actually, it's funny because this is the actual bridge in the song now. Was this next part right here? Yeah, so there's the original bridge. Here's some more nonsense I was experimenting around with. Oh yeah, I was kind of feeling this, but I felt like that was too corny. Like, I just felt like it was too corny. But that was kind of like, that's kind of like how I go through my music. I get to a point, and then once I get to a point where I'm like, I'm not really feeling this anymore, what can I change? That's when I start making different versions. And then you get to version 5 where I kind of solidified everything. I had everything that I liked, I just had to structure it. So I always knew I liked the intro. I always knew that the verse was pretty good. Then I had my chorus, and then I finally made my bridge. So right after the there's my bridge, and then the only thing I was missing was the ending. And so referencing back to all those other versions, I knew I wanted this part to come back in again. So I felt it would be appropriate to, the chorus is big, the bridge is big. Okay, now we need to break this thing down, because I'm a huge fan of dynamics. So we need to break this thing down so that when the last chorus comes in, it still feels, pretty big. So that's when I decided to bring this part back in. And so it does that, and then it goes into the last chorus. And then that's the song. But it's funny because when I started writing this song, these chords were never intended to be anything other than the intro. And it ended up turning into the centerpiece of the song. So, the takeaway from this would be just never be afraid to take a song you're vibing on and just kind of make radical changes to it. Like, when you go through my 5 versions, they're all kind of gradual changes. There's some big ones, but when you go from the original version, which had this, I don't think the chorus is bad. I just didn't know what to do with it, I still think that's cool. I felt like I was writing 2 different songs. And so, when you come to the final version, that part's totally gone. You got your verse, ending of the verse. You got this part coming back in. And then you fly straight into the chorus. Yeah. I mean, outside of tabit, like I do a lot of like doodling on the guitar when I'm trying to figure things out. So I'll go back and forth between tabit and just kind of seeing what my mind will come up if I don't use a keyboard, or I'm sorry, if I don't use a guitar. And then I always obviously come back to the guitar because it's my main instrument. But yeah. So that's how I wrote this song in particular. Obviously, once I had my beginning, middle, end, I was always all done. I started working on the drums, I started working on the lyrics. And the only reason the lyrics are in here the way they are is just, I like the tabit version to also be fully complete. So I just use a MIDI instrument and just, it's obviously supposed to be the singing. Usually when I get to the writing lyrics part, I will have already had a demo. And then I'm just kind of singing to the demo and seeing what fits, seeing what words sound good, and all that stuff. But yeah, that is how this song came about. This song was originally just some kind of weird experimental song with this cool tappy part that I can't play anymore, and some synth, and it was supposed to be kind of like a little bit more rock based. And then it turned into a song for my wife. So if you guys want to hear more about how I write music and how I do this thing, I know this was kind of like a big brief overview, but I feel like it kind of gets the point across, if that makes sense. Like the real thing I kind of want to hone in on this video is less about literally how I wrote the music on the guitar with the chords and stuff, and more about like the process from how I get from just an idea to an actual finished song. And this is a big part of my process, is going from the first version and then getting to the 5th version. And there's, all my folders are fairly organized, in any song you go into. Here's a folder of what am I trying to say here? This is another song I'm working on with a friend of mine, and there's like 14 versions here. But that's just because, hey, I know there's good parts in the song. I know it can be good. And as long as I can just keep generating new ideas and push past the fact that there's parts I don't like, it can always turn into something good. Just kind of like this song. This song was kind of... honestly, this song was just kind of like a throwaway song. There's a lot of times when I'm writing music, and I'll be writing a song, and I'm like, I already know I'm going to do nothing with this song. But for the sake of practice and getting my bad ideas out of the way, sometimes I'll just keep trudging through a song. Because I feel like I can't get past all these bad ideas unless I just write it out, make a song, and it's like, okay, now my head is cleared of bad ideas. Hopefully, that's another little thing I do. So this was kind of one of those songs. I was like, you know what? Let me just write a song. Let me just kind of get past some of these ideas, because when I'm writing music, I'll get stuck on one thing. I'll get stuck on one kind of chord progression, or I'll get stuck on one like style, if that makes sense. Like I'll just get stuck on something, and it'll show up in all my music. Something like this. That'll show up in like 5 songs that I'm writing, and then I'll have to decide, which song to do. But like, if that makes any sense, I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but that's part of the reason why sometimes even if I know a song is throwaway, I'm like, it's good practice, and I need to just kind of scratch this itch and get it out of the way so that I can start writing something I'm really into. Oh my gosh, I just realized that half the time it wasn't even on the screen. Oh my goodness. I might have to start this whole video over. We'll see. Anyway, alright. So, in conclusion, there are a lot of songs that I start and finish quite quickly, sometimes in a week, sometimes in 2 weeks, sometimes in a day. And there's a lot of times that I think this song was... Oh, when was this song started? When was the first original creation date of this song? Let's see if I can get that pulled up. 2021 was when I started this song. So there's a lot of songs that I will shelf and come back to periodically, whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5 months, a year. But if there's something there, I'm like, there's something good about this song, and if I could just get past whatever hang-ups I'm getting on, it could be something good. So I guess the takeaway from this video would be, if you have a good idea, there might be something there. You might just have to radically change things. You might have to cut everything out except for the one part you like and just start over. Or, maybe you just write a garbage song and move on. I mean, I've done that plenty of times. I have plenty of just throwaway songs, I guess is the best way I could put it. But anyway, I hope this one's a little bit longer. Probably, maybe. I might have to record this whole video, depending on if I remembered to hit the little buttons to show the screen or not. We'll see how much screen is in there. But thanks for watching. I hope you got something from this. I hope this made sense. I'm not very good at scripting, which is why a lot of my videos are just kind of random rambling. I feel like I'm so much better at explaining my writing process and stuff when I'm sitting with somebody. But hey, I'm working on it. So hopefully you found something of value in this video. And thanks for watching. God bless you guys.